what is situated language and learning?
I want to start with a macro level idea. I'm actually working on a revision to a manuscript, and they were like, situated learning, what does that mean? And it needs to fit this broader idea of social constructivist learning, right? So the idea is that no one learns in a vacuum. We learn together, and we're pairing our ideas with the ideas of the academic space. And as a group, as we talk about it together, as we come to make meaning together, is where we'll get clarity. Now, I learn what I absolutely need to learn. And the things I know most are the things I talk most about. So you want to talk to kids about cell phone functionality, around software devices, about TikTok, and you'll get a dissertation in great detail and depth because they know those things. That is what they talk about. So the argument is, in the same way we say, carpenters become phenomenal at measurement by building chairs and doors, it is the process of building the door that teaches measurement. Why wouldn't we teach in a way that requires students to master a content in the process of doing things? So let's take computer science for an example. The question is, what would we have a student do that will require them to master some components of learning the C language, right? And what would they do often and do very well? Because the things you do most often are the things you do most well that would produce and maximize these opportunities for learning. And so that's where the language comes into play. First is that we need to create opportunities for students to do something that requires them to learn the language. Second, they need to use the language often and be able to use it wrong, because the best way to master a language is to use it incorrectly and be corrected, because using it over and over creates mastery. And then third, if they're doing it in a way where the product is something that they use or see on a daily basis, then that's where they'll really become masters, because they'll do it over and over again. So I imagine a classroom where we have kids building websites, and let's say the website is designed to do school announcements, but your job is to do it every day. School announcements on a website, you're going to build this website. And if they have to do it for each day of the school year, they will become phenomenal at building the pages, right? The necessity of the language comes to the task. So as educators, we need to think, what are the situations that we can use to really maximize students' language use? And I have good news. Kids are great at learning language. There's almost no way you can mess it up if you do it often and do it well. The challenge is you have to stop talking as a teacher and enable them to do all the talking.
Yeah, I like it. And this is where, like, the people who are exploring project-based learning, the importance of situating it within a real-world context or problem, that's why this is so important, because then kids have that need to know and that buy-in to it and can apply it in their everyday.
Well, here's the hard part, though. Here's the warning. The most difficult aspect is I need to figure out what motivates my kids. What are the things that they're doing regularly? Because that's where the teaching and learning happens. And so the problem is, as educators, we learn who's in the room first. And it starts with figuring out who these kids are. And then that'll give us an opportunity to teach things.
Yeah, it reminds me, there was one teacher who was talking about this kid who was really shy and was like, oh yeah, he never really speaks. And it's like, well, have you asked him about Pokemon? He'll talk to you about it like the entire lunch break, just talking about the different strategies used in playing, et cetera, et cetera. This excerpt of the CSK8 podcast is from episode number 53, which is titled Situated Language and Learning with Bryan Brown. You can listen to this full episode as well as hundreds more by searching for the CSK8 podcast or by going to jaredoleary.com.